Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to highlight a comment from Cameron Reed. It was in response to my video called Joseph Smith's Prophecy about President Nelson's Generation. We're going to be talking about President Nelson and the prophet Noah from the Old Testament. Before I do, with that video that I did, Joseph Smith's Prophecy about President Nelson's Generation, I made a mistake. So we were reading about the second decade of the 20th century, and I mistakenly was calling that the 1920s, when in reality, the first decade would be the 1900s, the second decade would be the 1910s, and then the third decade would be the 1920s. So I messed up with that. I still think that the general idea holds up, okay, in regards to the generations, Joseph Smith's prophecy, but I apologize. I messed up on that. So anyway, okay, this is going to be a pretty interesting video, I think. Let's read his comment. This video was very well done and logically assembled. Thank you, Cameron. I appreciate that. The parallel between the prophets and the world are striking when comparing the flood in Noah's day to the second coming of our day. The wicked in Noah's time were eating, drinking, marrying, etc. Normal day life, as if nothing was going to happen. Contrast that with Noah, the prophet at that time, and his family. They were preparing and knew approximately the day and hour. Maybe they didn't know the exact day or hour, but like a woman in travail of birth, they knew that it was to be soon. And I want to point out here that, yeah, they knew it was soon, so much so that they were actually in the process of constructing the ark, right? So they knew it was going to be soon. And I think that we have the same thing going on today, and I'm about to show you. So moving on. Comparing President Nelson to Noah and the members of the church to Noah's family and the church to the ark seems appropriate, and maybe we can infer that by following the prophet and being temple recommend worthy, we are prepared for the second coming when it happens, and it may well happen soon. Yeah. So we've talked about on the channel before how, in Noah's day, let's go ahead. I have a picture of Noah, the famous painting. This is a painting from a member of the church. It's been around for a long time. And you have Noah. He's warning the world, right? In the foreground, you have people laughing and mocking, ignoring him, just in good spirits, making themselves merry. This guy right here is like, "Hey, Noah, did you know that there isn't an ocean nearby?" Just everyone having a good time. When Noah's being serious, trying to help them and invite them to change their ways, be righteous, and be saved, and enter the ark with him, right? Enter the ark with him. And then in the background, you see the construction of the ark in progress. So we know that Noah was preparing for a worldwide destruction by water. And we know from the Pearl of Great Price that the earth is essentially alive. It's going through like the same process that we are now. We don't like. So the flood was the baptism, right, of the earth by water, and then the second coming is going to be the baptism by fire or receiving the Holy Ghost. Although it does seem that there's going to be literal fire, which cleanses the wicked from the earth. Okay, so in both cases, there's literal water and then a literal fire, and the earth is receiving its ordinances. Now, I don't know exactly why or how that works out, because we don't baptize animals. I'm not about to go out and baptize my steers or my chickens. but sorry, baptizing a chicken, that would be something else. Got turkeys too. But whatever the case, the earth is going through the same process. So I think there's definitely similarities between Noah's day and our own time. People right now, there's a lot of people making themselves merry. There's a lot of mockery. There's a lot of wickedness. There's a lot of ignoring the prophet, and the prophet is warning the world in many different ways. You know, and so it's a parallel. And we know that the Lord likes to do things in parallels. He likes to do foreshadowings. He likes to do things on a literal level as well as a symbolic or metaphorical level, right? And so it's interesting. Now, let's just suppose, just hypothetically speaking, let's hypothetically say that President Nelson is going to be the prophet of the second coming. Okay, so that would mean if he was, that he would parallel Moses or Noah. He would correspond with Noah. Now, the interesting thing. Now, here's where we're going to make a connection that you may not have thought of, or maybe you have. Okay, I don't know if you knew. I think a lot of people know, but the tabernacle, or sorry, the ark was built in the same like dimensions as the tabernacle, Moses's tabernacle in the wilderness, and Solomon's temple and Herod's temple. They all have the same like proportions. Okay, so I pulled up an article from the Interpreter Foundation. This is a group of um, church members that are scholars and stuff like that. It's a scholarly group. And I just wanted to read a couple things from this article, and I would encourage you to read the whole thing because this whole thing is fascinating. So, in this section here, it says resemblances between the ark and the tabernacle. It is significant that, apart from the tabernacle of Moses and the temple of Solomon, the ark is the only man-made structure mentioned in the Bible whose design was directly revealed by God. So, the ark, the tabernacle, and Solomon's temple, all of them were directly revealed by the Lord, how they were supposed to be constructed, the dimensions, and so forth. In this image, God shows the plans for the ark to Noah, just as he later revealed the plans for the tabernacle to Moses. The hands of deity hold the heavenly curtain as Noah, compass in his left hand, regards intently. Okay, so here he is. He's receiving the instructions. He's measuring it out. So he's receiving the actual measurements for the ark. Okay, layout and size of the ark. There's no doubt among Bible scholars that, like the tabernacle, Noah's ark, quote, was designed as a temple. Now that's an interesting concept, isn't it? And we're about to explore that. The ark was designed as a temple. The ark's three decks suggest both the three divisions of the tabernacle and the threefold layout of the Garden of Eden. Indeed, each of the three decks of Noah's ark was exactly the same height as the tabernacle and 3 times the area of the tabernacle court. Strengthening the association between the ark and the tabernacle is the fact that the Hebrew term for Noah's ark, teva, later became the standard word for the Ark of the Covenant in Mishnaic Hebrew. In addition, the Septuagint used the same Greek term, kibotos, for both Noah's Ark and the Ark of the Covenant. Signaling another resemblance is that the ratio of the width to the height of both of these arks is 3:5. All right. So the tabernacle, or the, oh my gosh, I keep doing that. The ark is a floating temple. It's a floating temple, and there's kind of a lesson there, isn't it? You go into the temple to be saved. You go to the temple to be saved. You make covenants there, right? Now, is there a parallel going on right now in this regard between Noah and President Nelson? I would argue yes, there is. Maybe not exactly in the same way, but we've all seen this picture, right? You have President Nelson looking at the Salt Lake Temple as it's being renovated. And I would suggest that this is this, and this is this. Now, the Salt Lake Temple has been around for a while. It's not being constructed for the first time, and we've had temples um, for ordinances ever since the Nauvoo Temple. But I think that this does bring to mind this right here, and the way that we're going to be safe from the fire of the second coming is going to be exactly the same way that people back here would have been safe from the flood, by going to the temple. In this case, the ark that was designed like the temple. President Nelson, as you know, I don't need to tell you, he's been using the Salt Lake Temple renovation as like an object lesson for us, like what we need to do with ourselves in our personal lives. We need to get on the covenant path and stay there. We need to strengthen our spiritual foundations, and here he is down at the foundation level of the temple. We need to get rid of old debris. You remember that one? We need to make sure, this was kind of like a looser metaphor, but they were talking about how, I can't remember when this was said. This may have been during the young adult devotional, but that the temple is currently decommissioned, and how we in our personal lives, we do not want to be decommissioned. In other words, we don't want to stop living our covenants and living up to our covenants, right? So anyway, I don't know how many times, I was going to try and do it for this video, but I would say at the very least, 3 times, if not 4 or 5 times, has either he or his wife, Wendy, used the Salt Lake Temple as an object lesson in their talks, whether it was in general conference or possibly in that devotional, and maybe elsewhere as well. So I think that you can draw a parallel between what's happening with the Salt Lake Temple and the construction of Noah's Ark. The Noah's Ark being a literal object to actually go into, to physically be saved from the water. However, the temples nowadays being the place where we need to go to make covenants, to receive protection, right? I don't think that when like the burning of the earth starts, it's going to be like, find cover, everyone go to the temple, hurry, the fire's behind us. Must go faster. I don't think it's going to be like that. Right now is the time that we can enter this ark, the ark of the temple, and receive that protection. And President Nelson seems to be really keen on that. And in fact, you can think about it this way. Before President Nelson, President Hinckley was the one that had the title, the record for number of temples constructed. And if I remember right, I think it was 73. At this point, President Nelson, in a much shorter time, has constructed more, or he's announced more. He's at 100 so far. And I've heard various things from various sources. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I think the plan is to like greatly expand that. We know that he has the goal of having a temple within an hour of anyone, anywhere you live. He wants a temple to be within an hour of where you live. So if we're thinking as of the temples as arks in a way of being saved and protected from the fire, President Nelson is really doing a lot of building right now. He's constructing a lot of arks. Now, there was an interesting thing that he said, and someone, excuse me, Someone actually mentioned this in response to Cameron's comment. This is Lois Leonard. She says, remember in General Conference, President Nelson said that he really wasn't that old and younger than Noah. Maybe it was subliminal. And yeah, that one, it was like it was a little joke, but I think there was a little bit of truth behind it as far as, let me show you what I mean. Now, it wasn't during General Conference. This was during, well, unless he said this again some other time, but where I heard it was when it was during the Worldwide Devotional for Young Adults. Okay, this year. It was May of this year. And there was this part of his talk where he says, some might label me an old man. I'm a lot younger than Adam was, and Noah too. Now, you know, when he says some might label me an old man, the congregation laughed and chuckled, and then he said this, but I'm a lot younger than Adam and Noah, and I thought that was interesting because before the second coming, there's going to be Adam on Amen, where the prophet literally will be in the presence of these former prophets and priesthood holders that have held keys throughout all generations. And there's going to be this reporting process, a reporting of what you did while you held keys, and it goes on up the line to Adam, and then from Adam to Christ. And we've wondered on the channel if maybe the initial meetings of Adam on Diamond have already happened. We learned from Bruce R. McConkie in the Millennial Messiah that it seems like there's going to be multiple sessions of Adam on Diamond, and it may not be just like a one-day thing or a one during one weekend. He suggests in his book that there's going to be meetings across all the different continents, and so let's pretend, again, hypothetically speaking, let's say that President Nelson was the prophet at the time of Adam on Diamond when he reported, to his predecessors. So if that was the case, if President Nelson actually met Adam and Noah, it's funny because everyone knows that President Nelson right now, he's really up there in age. In fact, if he reaches his next birthday, he'll break the record of all prophets and apostles in this dispensation as far as how old he will be. He'll be the oldest. Right now, David B. Haight is in the lead. But again, if President Nelson survives to September, which is when his birthday is, he'll become the oldest. And so, could you imagine a little, joke at Adam on Diamond where they're like, "Yeah, you're up there in age, but you're not as old as I ever was." I ever was. And the interesting thing is that for this little joke right here, quote unquote joke, there's a footnote. President Nelson puts a footnote for his joke. And the footnote, oh gosh, we refresh. Sorry. The footnote for his joke, when you click on it, footnote 14, it takes you to Genesis 5:5 and Genesis 9:29. Adam died at the age of 930. Noah died at the age of 950. So I don't know about you. I'm not sure if I would ever do a footnote for any joke that I ever did. But and I don't know. Maybe he's just doing that, just like, oh, in case people don't get his joke, they're like, what? What does he mean? So it could just be that. But it could also be him sharing like an inside joke from Adam on Diamond, right? And it's interesting that he would say Adam and Noah because he would be the one that corresponds with Noah. That would mean if President Nelson is the prophet of the second coming, that would mean that he is the Noah of right now, and him and Noah would have a special connection in relationship because of the type of prophets that they are. So I find that really interesting. Now, we talked about how Noah, his thing was it was a flood that was coming, so water. With President Nelson, or any future, president, but if it is President Nelson, it's not going to be water, it's going to be fire. And one of the most intriguing talks that I've ever read or listened to was his "Come Follow Me" talk. This was given in April 2019 General Conference. Now, there's interesting things about this talk. Very interesting things about this talk. The first thing is that you know about chiasmus, right? It was like a Hebrew kind of poetic way of writing, and there is chiasmus that's found in the Book of Mormon. And what chiasmus is that you so think of each sentence as a letter. So you'd say, for example, C, and then B, and then A, and then B, and then C. So A would be in the middle, B would be on either side, C would be on the outside, right? And so that's why when you're reading the Book of Mormon, and a lot of people know this, I think most members of the church know this. That's why in the Book of Mormon there's kind of like a lot of like repetition of like different phrases. It's because it's being written in a chiasmus structure. So it's not just Nephi or somebody being repetitive. It's like a poetic form of writing. Well, I noticed as I was doing my series of going through all of President Nelson's talks that, like, I was first intrigued by his first general conference as president of the church because he didn't speak until the priesthood session. He didn't speak until so you had the Saturday morning session go by, he didn't speak. You had the Sunday or the Saturday afternoon session go by, he didn't speak. The first time that he spoke as president was in the priesthood session. And so that led me on this uh, path of like looking at how many times he spoke each conference, and I found something very interesting. His first conference, he spoke 5 times. The next conference, he spoke 4 times. The next conference after that, which is this one right here, April 2019, he only spoke 3 times. And then the next conference 4 times, and then the next conference 5 times. So the pattern was 5, 4, 3, 4, 5. You get it? So in the very middle talk, I don't know if he intentionally did this. I don't know if he was like inspired and kind of led to do it this way. I don't know if he's aware of it, but there is, as a matter of fact, that pattern. And this talk, the "Come Follow Me" talk, is the middle talk, okay, of those conferences, those 5 general conferences. So the fascinating thing about this is that he talks about the Paradise, California fire. Not only does he talk about it, but he shows a picture of it, the aftermath. Now, if you're not familiar with the Paradise, California fire, it was, this is according to NIST. What's NIST? I don't know. I just did a search and I found this. I'm not sure what NIST is, but this article is called "New Timeline of Deadliest California Wildfire Could Guide Lifesaving Research and Action." And it's talking about the camp fire, because you know how with wildfires, they give each wildfire a name. So the one that destroyed Paradise, California, which is a city or a town, it was the camp fire that destroyed it. So it says, the camp fire was the costliest disaster worldwide in 2018, okay, the first year of President Nelson's presidency. So that year, the costliest disaster was a fire. A fire. President Nelson, and fire. Noah and water. President Nelson and fire. The campfire was the costliest disaster worldwide in 2018, and having caused 85 deaths and destroyed more than 18,000 buildings, it became both the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California history. Two records the fire still holds today. Okay. I think was there another? Yeah, there was one more highlight. The fire's siege on Paradise ultimately destroyed 85% of the town's buildings. So Paradise, and here's a picture of it. Paradise was destroyed by fire the first year of President Nelson's presidency. And I don't think that I don't know, but it doesn't seem to me that there's very many times, or it doesn't happen too frequently, where an entire town is destroyed by fire. So it's almost like his presidency started with this theme. And again, he visited there, and he put a picture of it in his talk. Now, the fascinating thing, as if that wasn't fascinating enough, that this is in the middle of that quote-unquote chiasmus pattern of how many times he talks. He said the most incredible thing that I've ever heard a prophet say at the end of his talk. He says, now think about this as though he was Noah, trying to get people into the ark. He says, now, as president of his church, I plead with you who have distanced yourselves from the church, and with you who have not yet really sought to know that the Savior's church has been restored. Do the spiritual work to find out for yourselves, and please do it now. And then if you watch the video, at this point, he leans into the microphone and he says, time is running out. And I've done a search in the Scripture Citation Index where you can search all the conference talks back to 1942. This has never been said. It was kind of said, maybe, by President Eyring back when he was Elder Eyring, and he was talking about how we could be running out of time to do temple work. But never has a prophet explicitly said that time is running out. Just after he talks about a city that was ravaged by fire. Okay? Noah in the flood, President Nelson, and the fire. The worldwide fire. Time is running out. No one has ever said that in General Conference. This is the middle of this chiasmus pattern. Okay? You get it? And again, this happened on the first year of his presidency, as if to highlight that he is the Noah of the second coming. Here's a picture of Paradise as it's actually burning, and maybe this is what the world is going to be looking like pretty soon. It very well could be. Okay, so, and then during President Nelson's time as president of the church, there has definitely been an uptick in fires. There's been an uptick in fires. New York Times, climate scientists warn of a global wildfire crisis. Worsening heat and dryness could lead to a 50% rise in off the charts fires, according to a United Nations report. A landmark United Nations report has concluded that the risk of devastating wildfires around the world. Oh, and when is this written? This was written in, I think I just saw it, but let me just look up here. Okay. This was published 2022, February 2022. Okay. A landmark United Nations report has concluded that the risk of devastating wildfires around the world will surge in coming decades as climate change further intensifies what the report described as a global wildfire crisis, right? The scientific assessment is the first by the organization's environmental authority to evaluate wildfire risk worldwide. It was inspired by a string of deadly blazes around the globe in recent years, burning the American West, vast stretches of Australia, and even the Arctic. And I'm about to show you, in case you forgot, there's been so many fires, so many fires, so many fires since President Nelson has become president. Uh, the report, produced by more than 50 researchers from 6 continents, estimated that the risk worldwide of highly devastating fires could increase by up to 57% by the end of the century, primarily because of climate change. The risk will not be distributed equally. Some regions are likely to see more fire activity, while others may experience less. So let's look at California, okay? And this is a really cool PDF that they have available, where they have the top 20 largest wildfires in California history. So this is for California. And how about we count up out of 20? How about we count how many of these have been during President Nelson's presidency? Okay, California state history. How many of these have happened during President Nelson's time? Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wait, sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 out of 20 of California's largest wildfires have happened during President Nelson's presidency. And in fact, the top 7 of all numbers, the top 7 have been during his presidency. The top 7. You know, and then number 8 was just a month before he became president. And it's funny because it's called the Thomas Fire. Think about Thomas S. Monson. Thomas S. Monson was the president of the church at this time. And then the next year, it's President Nelson. that seriously, the coincidence is not a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. Okay, so yeah. Now I did a video. I would encourage you to go watch this video. It's called "The First Angel Sounded," from the Book of Revelation. Is the Earth on fire? So it's one of my kind of older videos, but I go through just all these examples, and we're going to kind of go through that right now, just briefly. So here is an article called "Is Earth on Fire?" written in 2019. Wildfires have been making headlines again this month, with multiple fires burning in Lebanon and California, but these are just some of the many fires 2019 has seen. Fires in the Amazon. Do you remember that? Do you remember when the Amazon was on fire and it was so dark that pictures of major cities in Brazil, it looked like it was nighttime, but it was actually day. It looked like it was nighttime, but it was actually day. Sparked a global outcry this summer. But fires have also been blazing in the Arctic, France, Greece, Indonesia, as well as many other areas in the world. Data from the Sentinel-3 World Fire Atlas shows that there were almost 5 times as many wildfires in August 2019 compared to August 2018. 5 times more. But a detailed analysis reveals precisely where these fires have been occurring, most of which were in Asia. Okay, moving on. So here is the Amazon. Okay, this is August 2021. So this is Brazil. I don't know. I can't remember what year, if it was this year or some other year. Like if it was 2021. I think it was before 2021 that you had those crazy pictures of these cities that looked like it was nighttime in Brazil. But anyway, the Amazon, more than 250 major fires detected in the Amazon this year. in 2021. This one's also 2021. Siberian wildfire is now bigger than all other fires in the world combined. And if you've been watching my channel, we've talked about that a few times. How last year Siberia was just, it was a huge fire. Well, look at it here, bigger than all other world fires in the world combined. um, okay, and then there was this. Uh, Jerusalem in awe of apocalyptic smoke cloud lingering over Temple Mount. Over the Temple Mount. Whenever you have crazy scenes happening in that area, I would take notice. Stop and take notice. Let's look at this little video here. And there you have it. This is the Kotel, or the Western Wall. Okay. Let's see. There was an even crazier picture. I guess it's not in this article, but yeah, there were wildfires happening in near Jerusalem, and I've done videos about that. In fact, I want to see if I can find that video really quick, because for the thumbnail, I have a picture of that crazy looking picture. Jerusalem fire. Right here. Look at this picture right here. There's the Dome of the Rock. Look at those dark clouds over the Temple Mount. That's insane. You know, just like when the Angel Moroni dropped his trumpet. You know, anyone that has spiritual eyes, I think, noticed that and understood what that meant. So if you're using the same spiritual eyes and you see this, what do you see happening there? You know, what is this potentially a foreshadowing of? Okay. Let's see. Siberia, Jerusalem. Wildfires produced record-breaking emissions this year from U.S. to Turkey. Okay. Turkey was rocked last year, 2021. Here you go again. Apocalyptic scenes hit Greece, Athens, besieged by fire. And here you have a guy with his Holstein, probably a milk cow. Yep, here you go. Here you go. A guy without a shirt on, looking in amazement at the aftermath of a blaze right here. Okay, so Greece, Turkey, Russia, the United States, Israel, Brazil. Here's another one about Turkey. Oh yeah, Australia. Do you remember when like a third of Australia burned? Don't quote me on that, but I think it was like something like a third of something burned in Australia. Australian fires had bigger impact on climate than COVID-19 lockdowns in 2020. This was a big story. This was a big story that year. Okay. The 2019 to 2020 Australian wildfire season was historic. More than 42 million acres burned in an unprecedented breakout of extreme fires, which produced lightning, launched smoky aerosols into the stratosphere, and turned New Zealand's glaciers brown with ash. Holy cow. Look at it from space. Look at that. A cyclone east of New Zealand draws in wildfire smoke. Holy cow. California and West aren't alone. Canada's northern forests are on fire too. Yeah, there was the heat dome that was over the Pacific Northwest and up into Canada. I think primarily affecting the British Columbia area. But there was a lot of that going on as well last year. All right. Spain, thousands flee blaze near Costa del Sol town. Spain was on fire. Let's see, this was 2021. Italy, All that's left are ashes. Italian communities count cost of wildfires. Oh boy. Forest fires in India. Alerts since April 1, nearly double that of 2020. Okay. India. Wildfires ravage forest lands in many parts of the globe. I guess this is just kind of like an overall. Oh yeah, look at this. So this is probably 2020. Yeah, 2021. Canada, U.S., South America, Portugal, where my mom's from, France, Italy, Romania, Turkey, Australia, Russia, in the Siberian area. So, now these fires, these are, I don't believe that these are the burning, like the official burning of the second coming, but I think that they're definitely a warning and a foreshadowing, right? These fires could be like the first raindrops, maybe, of Noah's flood, potentially, or something like that. At the very least, they're probably a warning for those that are watching. So again, Noah in the flood with water, and President Nelson with the fire. Noah getting people into a literal boat that's designed like a temple to save them from the flood. President Nelson getting temples ready, constructing temples at an unprecedented pace, renovating temples, trying to get people to temples to save them from the fire. It's astounding. It's astounding. President Nelson joking about Adam and Noah's age compared to his own. The come follow me talk. Hey, you guys remember the Paradise, California fire? Well, guess what? Time is running out. You better get your stuff together. So, yeah, there you have it. Now, could I have some of this wrong? Yeah, of course. But when you really look at it, it feels like a lot can be tied to President Nelson. Okay, especially when it comes to fires. All we can do is just wait and see what happens. That's all that we can do. Well, not just watch, but prepare ourselves. Get yourself to the ark. If you haven't been to the temple, get to the temple. Make those covenants. Do it now. Don't be someone that's just like sitting there watching the ark be constructed and what's going on over there? No, go get in it. All right, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you, Cameron Reed, and also Lois Leonard, for your comments. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share this, and I will talk to you guys later.